Hey everyone, this is Manly Badass Hero, and welcome back to The Letter. So this episode's gonna be a little bit different, so that way we can make some context sense for the other endings of Ashton's route. We're actually going back in time a bit to show Isabella and Ash's kind of romantic lovey-dovey scenes throughout the game if Isabella stays alive. And we're also going to go through and show what happens if everyone's alive and the actual good route events leading up to about the same point where my previous episode ended off. So the Isabella-Ash kind of lovey-dovey scenes will not have any commentary, I just kind of record them really quickly. So skip the 50 minutes into this video if you want to actually see me play the actual VN and actually commentate.
Thank you so much for spamming my inbox with the same message, Scaredy Cat.
Hey, Ash.
What's wrong?
I just had a long day. The couple who bought the house wanted us to finish processing the papers within the week. It's a little hectic, but we'll manage.
Really? You sold it?
Don't sound so surprised. I told you, you don't stand a chance. The rights won't take no for an answer. You've been on the losing end from the very start. Ha!
Whoever said I was interested in the house in the first place?
But you said... You're such an ass. And just so you know, I'm not treating you to a separate celebration. Or ever.
No, that's just unfair. And here I was looking something up for you. Didn't you say you wanted to talk to Andrew?
Is he okay with that?
Totally. Besides, I need to ask him about something. I might as well do it soon. What do you say you come with me tomorrow morning?
Well, there's no harm in it, I suppose. I've got a free day anyway.
Great, I'll just pick you up. Don't oversleep.
Don't compare me to you. I'm not the one who sleeps like a rock.
And, Isabella?
Yeah? Did you forget something?
Do you think we... Never mind. Good night.
Good morning, Ash! Can you even drive?
Hold on, scaredy cat, not too fast.
That hurts! What was that for?
Get yourself together, will you? He's not going to bite. He's very accommodating, too.
I wasn't scared of him or anything.
You don't look like it. Didn't sound like you were okay last night either.
What was that last one? Hey! Don't just ignore me!
Professor Clark.
It's just Andrew now. I'm no longer your professor, Detective Inspector Frey.
Have you been waiting long?
Quite some time, but I come here early on weekends. Best time to get their first serving of bear claws. They're the only place that serves it here. I took the liberty of ordering for you two. I hope you don't mind. I thought it'd be best to talk over a decent helping of coffee. Aren't you going to introduce the lady?
Ah, right, sorry. Isabella, this is Prof. Andrew. He's one of my professors back at the university. Andrew, this is Isabella Santos.
Santos. Portuguese? Spanish? Brazilian? Mexican?
Filipina, actually. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Ah, your name carries a lot of history, Miss Santos. Just Andrew is fine. Don't do what Ashton's doing. He doesn't listen to this old man. Ashton tells me there's something you wish to discuss that I could help with. Let's hear it then.
I'm sure it's that letter I found, but I don't know anymore. I just want to know how to escape this nightmare.
Of course. We're talking about the one in Anselm Village, aren't we?
How did you...
Don't look so surprised. There's only one place popular enough here if we're going to talk about hauntings. I once had a colleague who wrote about it and the urban legends surrounding the place. Years worth of study, but fascinating nonetheless. It's a shame he passed away at such a young age. He would have done a much better job at explaining topics like this one compared to me. Ashton here might disagree, but it's an interesting topic in sociology, if you care to have an open mind.
Studying the science and theory behind it is completely different from outright believing in it.
You don't believe in those stories, sir?
Now, this isn't a question of belief. All I'm saying is things like these speak a lot about a place's culture and history. And it's not just limited to ghosts. Monsters, gods, you name it. Even you, Miss Santos.
What about me?
How you respond to these stories. It tells a lot about you and your upbringing, in the same way it tells me why our detective inspector here finds such topics absurd. Interesting, isn't it?
There's still something you're not telling.
Didn't I tell you everything the other day?
Yeah, but you mentioned the rights. Then you proceeded to drop the topic right after. What's with that?
They don't have anything to do with this.
Rights. Luke and Hannah, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who got the place.
Ah, I'm not surprised. They're the kind who gets what they want when they set their eyes on it. From what I've heard, word gets around, especially with a pretty well-known couple like them.
Ashton, look here. I know you're trying to help, but the deal's almost already closed. The papers are being prepared. Once it's done, it's over. I'm just their agent.
And when is that happening?
When what? Is there even a purpose to this line of questioning?
Your working relationship with them. When's it going to end?
About a week from now? It depends on how long the papers will take, but they want us to rush it.
Really? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, really. Unless they want to buy a house again and want me and Rose to be their agent. If yes, then I don't see a problem with it. Now stop annoying me about it.
Don't accept it.
What? Why? It's my job.
Now, kids, settle down. We're not going to solve anything by shouting.
Sorry, Sir Andrew.
And we're not going to solve anything either if you keep omitting things.
Speak for yourself. I'm not the only one doing it.
You'll have to forgive my former student, Miss Santos. He's always been the curious kind. Many people think he's lazy, but it's actually the opposite. I see that hasn't changed.
Oh, really? How is he back when he was your student? I'm sorry, I need to ask. He doesn't talk much about that.
And there's a reason why. Please don't.
Tried to sleep on the first day of class. He didn't repeat it after what I made him do when I caught him. Students like him are the easiest to deal with, once you know what piques their interest. I'd have to say, he's one of the very few who's actually interested in the subject, though. But there was this one time when... Miss Santos, a word of advice. If this is truly what you think it is, just keep in mind that when it comes to cases such as this, they aren't always what they seem.
Where are we going? You can drop me off at the park.
Guess. You have 3 chances.
I'm serious, Ash. Where are we going?
Here, take it.
What's this for?
My arm's getting tired. 5, 4, 3, 2... Saw the place open the other day when we watched Zach's movie. Thought I should give it a try. It doesn't seem like a bad place to get food from time to time.
And you're giving me free ice cream because...
Do I need to have a reason?
Are you really going to ask me that?
I... the other day? The movie with Zach and Rebecca? Rebecca's there, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, during the movie, we, that's to say, we... Shit. Should have written down something first.
Get to the point, Ashton.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, not getting to the point. I'm sorry for the other day. I got carried away. I said things that upset you. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay? That's all? That's all you're going to say? You're not still angry, are you?
You didn't have to buy me anything. A simple sorry would have been enough. Thanks, Ash, for today.
No problem. Say hi to Rebecca for me.
Yeah, I will.
Wait, Belle. Here, catch. My mom used to make me carry around one of those when I was young. To ward off evil and bring you luck, she said. I don't believe in this stuff now, but if it makes you feel safe since you're a total scaredy cat, then I guess it's okay to give you one to carry around. I, gotta go. Got some reports I forgot to file the other day.
Yeah, see you around. Thanks for the ice cream and the charm.
Don't lose it. We won't find one here again if you do.
I won't. I might move like I have 2 left feet, but I know how to take care of my own stuff. I'm not a total klutz.
I know.
And Belle, remember that one time? Devlin Court?
You... At the time, when we... What I'm trying to say is that you can rely on me if something... anything happens. Not the exact same thing, of course, but you get the idea. I'll be around.
I'll keep that in mind. You're not that bad after all. Are you two done?
Isabella, you're up early.
No, I'm not. I'm usually up at this hour. You're the one that usually sucks at getting up early.
Says the person who looks like she's just fallen out of bed. Hey, are you...
Anyway, was that Becca with you? You both sound like Mama and Papa when they fight. You're awfully loud. If we get another memo from the landlady, I'm asking the guard to ban you from ever entering this place.
Me? Becca's the one almost shouting.
Yeah, well, she lives here. You don't. You have no excuse. You're the suspicious-looking person.
Thanks. Glad at least one person appreciates how I pretty up this place.
Don't flatter yourself. This place would be so much better without having to see your face every few days.
Belle, did something...
About yesterday, Ash. The things we talked about. Do you think we can take a look at it today?
We? I never said you're coming with me. Don't worry, I didn't forget about it. You'll be the first to know if I find anything.
No, I want to go with you. I'll be ready in a few. This won't take long.
Isabella, you really don't have to. I can handle it on my own. You'll just...
I won't get in the way, I promise. Besides, maybe I can help. You know, if there are files you want to check.
You're the one who's going to get in trouble if you do that.
You said it yourself. You need information, and I can help you get that. And it's not like it matters anymore. I just don't want to stand around doing nothing today.
All right, 5 minutes.
What? You're timing me?
Well, I can't wait forever. I'm a very busy guy. 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Isabella.
I hate you so much. I'm taking back what I said last week. You haven't changed at all.
4 minutes and 30 seconds, 29, 28. I'd hurry if I were you.
Ugh, you're awful! I hope you never get a girlfriend.
It's not like I'm looking for anyone else. You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
when?
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
Yesterday? around 3 in the afternoon there. Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every time, every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So I'd have something to use for my paintings. And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day. But he'd always set something aside. Told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day. He didn't want me to leave. Said, begged, I could finish my studies first. In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
You're not.
Huh?
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not. The Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve, though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives. But when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial. And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way. You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go. While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that. So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah, security cams, tapes, videos, cams. Yeah, I'm off.
So from here on out, I'm going to be doing the kind of good route for Ashton. And there'll be some redundant scenes I'm going to skip, or scenes I don't think are too important, just to save time in this playthrough. But for the most part, I'm going to be showing the more important scenes, and this takes place just after everyone's kind of routes are wrapped up, and they're all meeting together at one time here in Isabella's apartment. So this is Zach after he gets away from the mansion, for example. Except when I open my mouth, the only thing that spills from it is my own relief. Despite myself, despite the rational part of my brain screaming everything wrong about Zach's neat little plan. We've had so many close calls within just a single night. Zach showing up in Isabella's doorstep alive, whole and unharmed. I might as well take comfort in that while I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly the whole room feels too heavy, and all I'm able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in the same moment. Perhaps this is what release from anxiety feels like. Regardless, I reach up a hand to pinch the bridge of my nose, even if it will likely do nothing to alleviate the impending pain.
Christ, you were right there! We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there!
Yeah, Zach was pretty dumb going to the mansion at that time.
You just walked up inside a private property! Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've gotta do something. I know you're not very fond of the rights, but they don't deserve it if something bad happens. Hana most of all.
This is because I raised their relationship points in this route.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried!
Unexpectedly, he laughs. Not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward at coming up with an excuse. A genuine one. Before my annoyance grows again and I snap at him, though, he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms loop around my neck while he grinds his knuckles against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under his grip in protest. Even then, it's hard to do so when you're up against a 6-footer.
Zach!
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go!
He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage to my hair. I hate it when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood is finally lining up and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier still.
Seriously, Zach. Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter.
No, we went to the offices to find actual information. You know, non-wild goose chase.
Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here, and all at once my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I've only left him with vague answers.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
Oh yeah, that's a ghost. Ghost is doing some illegal blocking of cell phone reception. I mean, the cops should really get on that. Like, that's highly illegal, but you know, they're not doing anything. The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head. Then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes questioning, asking for a confirmation, like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all the flashes fleetingly across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
A ghost! She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from
Abruptly
Deluxe
my phone
City.
rings,
Baggers, watch out.
blaring its
Can't
badly
beat me.
sang
Looking for
ringtone.
trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool
Both of them
dude.
pause,
Pretty fly
waiting,
for an
when I
Asian
pull up to
guy.
take the caller ID.
Sup,
It's Becca.
I'm Ash from Deluxe
I'll tell her to get
City.
here as soon as she
Baggers,
can.
watch out.
Excuse me.
Can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude. Pretty fly for an
Without
Asian
another
guy.
word, I step out of the room and answer the
Sup, I'm
call.
Ash from
However,
Deluxe-
the tone she assumes is the one I'm hoping to hear.
Are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath. There's a tinge of urgency in it. So this is Rebecca after she dodges her death. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet. Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. They should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye and then hangs up. You'd like the ghost would like jump her while she's driving, but maybe, you know, like it's a little too crowded out there right now. Ghost is hung up in rush hour traffic trying to chase her down. Called the wrong taxi. Becca's the last person I need to account for. Yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully we don't have to linger on it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but... He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole. Alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax. Ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces, A small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flat in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. That sounds kinda weird. She's also leaning more on her, using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling the slight limp she has. Noticeable once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened, how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to a halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption. You give me that look, Rebecca. In fact, you're all giving me that look. It's like you're staring at me through the screen, and it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But the fact that someone has brought it to light. But that someone also has to make sure.
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it was with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with two more people shooting her concerned looks, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her other arm's nursing a supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Yeah, you know all those books and people and the ghosts.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But the only one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since the day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
It's like that, yep, you got to get the ghost too? Yeah, I gotta talk about the ghost. Oh, I know that feeling, trust me. I'm so relatable.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Thank you, Zach.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that?
A murdering ghost?
Oh, it makes my blood boil.
I'm not sure if you really count him as a person, it's more of a entity, but, you know.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Ah! Oh yeah, you can hit with a book alright.
Laugh it up, Ashton, I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Ashton's like eating his words. Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. dead. Another close call. I never would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with the same mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at the BRC has been put on the table. So there's ghosts, and I believe in them now. Bad. Why didn't you guys tell me about those ghosts? And everyone just like cringes at Ash. Gives me that look again. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, yeah, you've brushed off, and rudely dismissed, which is you again, have been laid out for close scrutiny. Dax encountered the woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning lights shift to the warm hues of a late afternoon, and eventually, night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps 100 since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
I'm not dropping it. I'm just forcefully putting it down. For dramatic effect. It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man.
No, he has a point, Ashton.
Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean-Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from. Maybe it's just as the professor says.
We should just burn it all down.
He did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her, and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
The way everyone like twitched their eyes exactly the same amount of distance to look towards me is kind of creepy. Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean what happened in that mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's at the heart of it. The why and the how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Fuck. How do I... The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. Oh yes we can. I'd rather die before even thinking of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. You kind of do in a bad ending. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back. After several hours of sitting, we've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will. And it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. I'll be unspoken. It's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
Ashton was about to say something, but then was cut off by something probably dramatic about to happen. Right on cue! The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rendering through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Yes, it's a ghost.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. There was no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hard and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly the lights go out and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, the its smooth purpose against my palm, the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise in my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I cross the room and sit in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to bang its door louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles that swing the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it is in my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here, as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to... Ah!
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor. With force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles. The smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating. Sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as last time I've heard, it reaches my ears and my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Yes, because you've never experienced anything like this. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regret their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know. The moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No. I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in and then there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand could reach and leading everyone out. I bet it's Isabella. Into the hallway. Down a flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem well. I don't even entertain the thought of wanting down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. It's a pretty similar scene, just a little bit more crowded. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just as after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. I hate Mondays. And a risk gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly folked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain leader of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Poor Shirley. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger's side into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. My last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags in my eyes are getting. About how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Is that I can't feel the pang of hunger? With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins and my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense a ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony ditches wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off of Ophelia's surface. Happiness. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxborn police regulations only allows authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. I never really saw the need for its use, and the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses too. On a go, so all those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. However, it's a feeling of ease I'm after, or what little I can gather from it. The awareness that I at least have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. Or you gotta handle Luke, or his ninja butler. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off, though. The feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxborn normal. In the distance beyond the buildings lying on the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in, symbolic.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
A storm's coming. And all will be affected. A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it will be my last. With all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ear first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them. Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bag of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Imagine the ghosts going to each one of them like, where are they? This is weird. Usually they come home, and I murder them or attempt to. They're kind of missing today. Where can they be? Well, they could be bloody anywhere. It's a big city. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. To look at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere of a light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way they are acting now. If anything, only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding, before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce it drizzles over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly, while even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons in a nearby waste bin. Along with it is a shift in the mood, Ash said for the next 15 minutes as he narrated his friends eating lunch. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. Oh my god. Well, the one we've just had is short-lived. It's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damn curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I'm at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty settling whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has suddenly stopped working here, and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. A not so pleasant kind of fire. Drama Island.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. Nowhere safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella.
Wherever that ghost can get you on a plane.
Not to a stupid chain letter. You were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
You're just upset that Ashton likes you more. Let's be frank. Hey Frank, how you doing? I'm doing alright.
And you're not? I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
Plus they all went to the house anyway. I'm pretty sure the house itself is kind of a death trap.
So now you're throwing it back at us? We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
Slightly annoyed, Ashton, quietly being observant, intensifies.
All right, that's enough!
The genie's out of the bottle now.
Everyone, shut up!
They all falter the silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I did not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when anytime, anywhere, she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, definitely afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more their forte than mine. Keeping the peace. Placating everyone while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I like to blame it the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I'm angry at. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit, they're still counting on me. In spite of my failures or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's a concerned glance they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet it's what I'm more than willing to carry, even through my exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In a city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's a very different to the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night. But it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help, in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort, too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him.
Hey. Hey, Ash?
So I've skipped ahead a bit. Ash has like a very long dialogue with Chi that doesn't really advance the plot. It's more of a slight fluff character development thing, but I decided to skip it just to save some time on this playthrough. And then we're gonna go to like the rest of the cast talking now. This time I glance at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Not because of reconciliation an issue for me, between us. It'll never be. But somehow this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word. If this is going to end another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back to the kitchen, leaving the only two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start at least. A stiff one. But a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few. A few hours, yeah.
Curt. Brusque. That ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zach takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing a distance he's put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, strums his finger on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better. Not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. But I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of us to spur these kind of thoughts at me. I can't remember the last time something like this has occurred to me. Friendship? For some reason, after seeing one herring thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
The attempt on my life has made me appreciate life more.
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash.
Sometimes some of the lines are very ironic considering the route I'm usually on.
Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe.
We go and beat up the ghost of money. I learned it from a very smart person named... Lo...
What's on your mind, Ash?
I mean, not manly. There's really something about Z, man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zach has a strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. How you doing there, buddy? Oftentimes, a question feels so subtle, it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had. The kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry, the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given once over. The mansion. Of course, Zach may not be behind the push, but it doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet for the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
I have a gun, you don't.
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
See? I always predict these things.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not for the manner he grips his knees or the ridges set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? I feel better if I don't have to worry about you. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own!
Ooh-wee, Zach actually dialed it up.
Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there is an escape. We've already become her playthings, the second Isabella found that letter. I keep saying that like, that ghost can get us whenever she wants. She just takes her time through traffic and just plays with us a bit. Or she's just really getting stuck in traffic. But that ghost is very determined. Eventually it's gonna get through traffic. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly, he clams up. All those actions. The restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note. It all gives away his real thoughts, long before two words have even made out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air falls at the heels of that one admission. The meaning of my words too heavy, too striking. It stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling. the stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they will remain us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us. But I suppose that outcome is far more acceptable. The lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zach, I can't help but chuckle and throw in the jibe, despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
Yeah, that ghost gets stuck in rush hour traffic. You know I'm gonna get stuck there.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, alright? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause. I never heard that term, but I guess that's a term. Though without any preamble, Zach and I are both snickering and G's glower melts into confusion. That's the first time I've seen Zach smile like that. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I like to think it's better this way. Better that we part on light terms, so Zach won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now.
Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it appears wake up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement. So I did skip forward again, to kind of like...
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
Skip out some of the G and monologue dialogue and focus on the main drama that relates to the story.
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way! We have to go there! If you'll just...
Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most, if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over. I got bad blood, after all of us has gotten a decent rest. That's actually really fitting for this situation. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it, in spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible. There's a tense set in his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Never do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring, I implore you, gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, do something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. but part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he's taken for people he barely even knew. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns to a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the ever childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way, but they secretly hate each other because they both like me. Oh damn! Look at that eye. That's some pure hate coming out of Rebecca right there. That's some... You taking my Ashton? You taking my Ashton and you getting us cursed? I'm a little upset here. That's that look right there. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely ever see her receiving, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled in one corner of the table they occupy. A conversation that turned sour sometime after a late lunch then. They left the hors d'oeuvres. Completely already done and nothing left to be spilled. Whoa-wee, that hurt. Because the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily. We both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this letter ghost everything.
You're blaming me again.
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you! If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
You would like that, Rebecca, wouldn't you?
You know why I had to come here. My dad.
Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something in the moment Rebecca slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I've entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavily. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns to thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never gonna go back down from this. Not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there's always been a certain stubbornness in her, as frustrating as it is to see sometimes as what's gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when the struggle turns useless. A kind of awareness of almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches toward the exit, in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. However, it doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Sorry, Rebecca. This is Isabella route.
Okay.
Oh! I can hear her heart crushing it despite her not changing expression. Rather than answer, Once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. And without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press to the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, so, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arms in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down. Eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point. But please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
Yeah, Rebecca, go. By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Dang. And look at Rebecca. Dang. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least how it seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, and what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We'll never be the same person we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. She's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables set right beside the windows. She usually keeps her curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pulling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. Rash is hopelessly in love. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet, a complete opposite of her usual self, but it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest sighs and the slightest movements sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that all of it melts away. Gone is a stillness replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes, and a very strong anime girl stare. Like the type that's gonna go like, "Oh you senpai, you baka." Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar. Where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. Bit upset, maybe. Who wouldn't be? Well, I do agree with Rebecca. Her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me. At least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dried and passive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's just as if I told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Hey, that's no way to talk to me. Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. Man, Ash's route is like the most strongest monologue, wordy route ever. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I like at least that one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the bare half of the hour, talking, joking, with a short, feeble response to Baron that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death foreshadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, you love these lame jokes. They're almost as good as puns.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace. Suddenly she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away. That's a unique sprite face, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful and I really hate you! Just leave!
Wait a minute. I know someone who looks like an owl. And I ask, who? Ah, I get it. It's good. It's good. It's contagious. Her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
Nah. Yeah, he's kinda lame. But I'm not, don't worry.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Yeah, we went a little too far in that one. Seeing it directed my way, it only takes a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Oh, no, it's not. It's too late. Too late. Abandon ship. Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading to the silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds and thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early or because there's never really a proper time. For now though, this'll do. Till the moment in itself dwindles. Till reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
Yes, she only means well, and she was blaming you for all the problems currently occurring. The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
You're one of the few people she likes. She won't stay angry for long, I can vouch for it.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
Or maybe just go back and burn the place. With money. Honey, did you know money makes great kindling? It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point I'll always agree with. No matter how desperate I am, it's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I have told Zach. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. And even to keep her safe. I can't let you do that, Isabella. Or it's dangerous.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
No, Luke is just gonna capture you and do weird things.
No, but there has to be something we can tell them.
Maybe he'll call you a peasant somewhere along the way.
Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. The ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
Alright, supposing you do find an answer there. What happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do?
It's not like we have any other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky. For you. Give it up, Isabella.
Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up. No resistance. No further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room grows awkward and suffocating. A standstill that'll get us nowhere. Although there was one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, it's making me feel like a total asshole and a hypocrite. And I am, considering my plans tonight. Sure, I can tell her, but what good will it do? I'm gonna sneak into the mansion and fight a ninja butler. Do you think you want to know? I've already told Zach, one person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much will just cause never pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I'm only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I like to think that yes, to some extent she understands, Even if she does not entirely agree with me, the dilemma is clear in her. Otherwise, her scalp won't have a deeper set to it. Her lips won't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand will no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument. If she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say, maybe because she has already heard the same thing from Rebecca. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it here for now. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room. It's condensed, slow, and hesitant. Rebecca, have you come to apologize? Apologize to Isabella now. I know everyone's stressed out and you hate her guts because she, is a love interest, but come on. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eye. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for the only two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over. Before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. An everlasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs a conscience among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway Shell's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies the core of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight. With the lively music and chatter slipping out, mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside, under the chilly Luxmore night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body, while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The leather crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I paid no mind as I hurried towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings. Oh no! On my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. Oh, he means he nicked the paper after I nicked his car. That would have been terrible for Shirley. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed, either. But I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? For about 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rule Z-Man set. But when have I ever? Because you need no rules, you're Ash. Regardless how generous that is, each second's just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a heavy sigh, weary, thick of sitting close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away, while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, You take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try.
It doesn't easily forget like ghost girls, haunting you in every second either.
But, you know, it also did a lot to us.
And I also don't mean figurative haunt, I mean literal haunt.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things. About myself. About us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by memory. A silly story or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who'll much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
I wonder if that's someone who's in the prequel demo.
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of hero. Kinda are, I guess, in the context of this story. Sometimes, Mandy was in the wrong. Of course, I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are, it would have escalated, and who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens.
Supposedly I was one of those kind of stereotypical little boys that defend others and help people out with bullying.
Ash.
A bit like Ash, I guess.
I've always been in love with you.
Oof. I always said supposedly because I have a very bad memory of my childhood. I only hear them from legends, passed down from teachers and relatives. She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank, that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any of the feelings that nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary?
As it had been very sad for you, Rebecca.
Since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there's relief. A weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. And then, like, the music just shifts. You see the little trigger appear up there, and it's like, well, did you like Rebecca? Nope. Oh, well. Oh well. Because as much as it pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. Plus, Manly's chose all the Isabella options. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she has stuck with me even though through the toughest moments, even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca, I
draw on the breath, ragged, unsure. Uncertain how and which words to put together, so it will hurt her less. So the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or a scar. In the end, I can only utter an apology.
I'm really sorry, Becca. I'm glad, I'm happy you feel that way, but I can't. I can't. There's already someone that I'm in love with. Someone else.
I wonder who that is. It takes all my willpower to force myself to even look at her. For sure there will be hurt. Maybe she'll even be angry. And I don't hold it against her. And sure enough, when our eyes meet again, her mouth is already sealed in a tight line and she assumes a rigid pose. There's a sharpness to her gaze, but behind it is a pain undeniable, searing. Something that she tries to hide by hastily looking away and stepping back.
Becca, I know this...
It's alright, Ashton. You don't have to explain anything.
If you slow the video down, you can see the one part where her heart breaks.
Yeah, but you should... I should...
I told you, no need. It's not like I didn't have an idea or anything.
Right there. Right there.
When you think about it, it's really quite obvious. The way you've always looked at her said everything. Anyway, let's just end this conversation here, alright? I don't think it would do us both any good. This is going to get really awkward if we keep at it. When all has been said and done, at least I told you, right? Maybe I can finally let this whole thing go. Who knows? Thanks for hearing me out, though. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you won't do anything dumb, alright?
Dumb is my middle name. Ashton Dumb Frey. She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she flashes me one last strange smile before walking away, while the only thing I can do is watch her retreating back. In that one moment, one conversation, and something also breaks between us. Something irreparable. A different kind of regret. Haunting me amidst the silence of my car as I drive off and leave it all behind.